Main points I'm going to make today. And I'm going to run through this slide presentation real fast because I've got some examples at the end of personal branding and inbound marketing, which she also mentioned. I'm so glad she mentioned inbound marketing because that is the operating principle upon which this is all based, is inbound marketing. So I'm going to talk about the operating principles. I'm going to talk about how being searchable and shareable is good for you personally and good for your business. And at the end, again, I've got some examples, and you can ask some questions. But if you want to ask questions, feel free to stop me along the way. All right, so you just wrote a blog post. How many of you blog right now? Okay, so you just wrote a blog post. What is it you hope is going to happen next? You just wrote that blog post. You hit publish. It's out there. What do you hope will happen next? Somebody will read it. Yes, so we hope someone will read it. What else? Somebody will comment on it. What else? Somebody will share it. Oh, you guys are good. What else? Eventually, we hope that community will develop in the comment section. What else do we want? Somebody will respond to my call to action. And my call to action might be, now if I'm a business, my call to action might be contact me, sign up for my newsletter, get on this list, whatever it might be. Whatever engine you have for that inbound marketing, that is what you hope they would do. You hope they'll take that action. Mine is comment on my blog most of the time. So you hope that they'll respond to the call to action that is specific to what you put out there. Anything else? All right, you hit on all this, most of it. Let's see here. So we want people to see it. We got to get eyeballs on it, okay? We want people to comment. We want them to share, and we want them to share on multiple platforms because your audience probably doesn't reside on any single platform. Your audience is, especially if it ranges in age groups, your audience is on a lot of different platforms. So you got to be present on a lot of different platforms. So we want it to share. We want links. That's the one thing that wasn't mentioned. We want links. So we want people to link to us, right? So we would hope that someone read our blog post, and the curator guy was here earlier, and that's what we're doing. When you curate, you're linking to someone, but we would like someone to link to us. We would like someone to curate our content. That's very valuable in a natural, organic way. And we would like them to respond to that call to action. So that's what we want. How do we get it? How do you get people to read your blog? How do you get people to comment on your blog? How do you get them to share your blog? How do you get links? How do you get them to take action? How do you get people to comment on your blog? Yes, who said that? That's exactly right. You want people to comment on your blog? Go comment on their blog. What blogs do you comment on? Related to your niche, the most influential people you can find related to your niche. Because guess what happens at the most influential websites? They have a lot of readers. So there's this tremendous flow of inbound traffic at this influential blog. You show up, and hopefully if you show up early in the stream, which is why we have an RSS reader, and this is the engine of this activity, is to wake up early in the morning, check your RSS reader, hope that someone influential has written a blog post that you can get on early in the stream and write a valuable content that furthers the purpose of their content so that you become part of the community and add it. And what's linked there is your name and a link to your website. Click. People now read that blog post, they come to your blog post, right? Is that going to drive traffic to you? Absolutely. You want comments on your blog, and you do, you must comment on other people's blogs. Very good. You want people to share your blog. How do you get shares? This could be too obvious. You better share other people's stuff. You want people to share your stuff, and you do, you're not entitled to that. You can't just write this blog post and then sit back and hope that you're going to be found, that Google will do its magic and someone will go to put in some keywords, especially your name, that's not going to happen, and find you and start to share your stuff. No. I pursue a hunter strategy. I'm not passive. I'm not waiting to be found. I'm going hunting. I'm coming to the communities where influential people hang out, and I'm commenting on their stuff where they hang out, and I'm trying to be of service to them. I'm trying to add value to them where they hang out so that I earn the right to be shared from them as well. Does that make sense? So you want people to share your stuff? Go share their stuff. which again is why you need to be present on multiple platforms. You need to be present and relevant on all these multiple platforms. You want links? How do you get links? You link to other people's stuff. You get noticed by them. Okay? When I include a link to an influential blogger's site, so someone is an influential blogger, thousands more visits than I do, and I link to their site, what is the first thing that happens when I press publish? Anyone know? They get an email that says ping back. They get an email. So I am right in their email inbox right there in front of that influential person that says, Bret Simmons just linked to your blog. Who the hell is Bret Simmons? I check every single ping back. You link to my blog, I'm clicking on your URL. I'm coming to your website. You just pulled me into your website. Does everyone get that? And so before you start this, let me encourage you, if you're getting started blogging, start writing some good stuff. So that when you get their eyeballs and they come look at your stuff, they can see, oh, this guy's pretty good. He knows what he's talking about. I kind of like this stuff. Maybe I'll subscribe to his blog. Maybe not. Maybe I'll keep an eye on this guy. Now, you don't want to spam them. I don't link to them all the time. But every once in a while, on a periodic basis, link. And then a couple weeks later, show up and comment. And that strategy pays off. How many of you have used that strategy? It pays off. It certainly works. So, one of the main points in here is that in social media, here's the ethic. You do for others what you want them to do for you. You want these things, you have to start practicing them so that you understand it. You are entitled to nothing, and there's no instant pudding. Just by publishing something and think you've gotten the keywords right and have read an SEO book that magic is going to happen. Magic doesn't happen until you commit to doing relevant work over a long period of time. You commit to doing relevant work over a period of a year, you will transform your brand and transform your business. I guarantee you. You give me a year of blogging in most markets where your competitors are asleep, you start blogging for a year, you bury them. You will bury them in the search engine rankings if you do it right. Now that's a sweeping generality, but am I telling a lie? You will certainly get close to doing it. So you got to be personal. Personal branding is about being personal. So my big message to business owners is don't hide behind your brand. Step out in front of your brand and be personal, which is what she's doing. She's out in front of her brand. Now, she links to her website, but it's her name, her face right there. I don't do business with logos. I don't do business with logos. I do business with people I like. People I like and people I trust. If I like you and I trust you and you've done something for me, I'll bend over backwards to help you. If you come at me with a logo, we know what to expect from logos. Sell, 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 sell. And how do we respond to logos? Get away, get away, get away. We're very good at filtering out all of that spam, right? Individuals, it's a different story, which is why I believe, it's so critical to have a personal brand in addition to your business brand, and you should try to rank for both of those searches. Got to be relevant. So you got to know your audience. So I have a real niche audience like you do. I'm not relevant to a whole lot of you and what you do, but I'm trying to be relevant to my community. Got to know who your community is, who you're trying to be relevant for. And you don't learn that overnight. It takes a while to learn that stuff, right? You got to stay at it and learn it. All right, so he was talking earlier about curation. That was a great talk. I curate the way he was talking, but it's better to be curated than to curate. It's better for people to link to you than to be linked to. Let me see if this works. A personal branding site. Oh, scary, there's my face. I don't know who that is, C-Suite Monitor. This is what's called a double curation. So he curated, he's just really spamming stuff up. He curated a blog post from one of my other students. So this was, see how it says reblogged by? So this was a curation of a curation. That make sense? There were a couple of links there. I didn't ask for any of that, by the way. I didn't send an email to any of those. Here I'm curated. This is the home run site for me. Bob Sutton, New York Times best-selling author. I worship at the altar of Bob Sutton. Well, I've read his blog, love it. How do I get his attention? I show up, I read his blog posts, I comment on his blog. This is the second time he's blogged about me, second time. And it just came out of nowhere. I didn't send him an email and say, hey, Bob, I'm blogging too. Would you like to read my blog? No. I showed up to help him. And then we built a relationship. The first blog he writes about me, check out Bret Simmons' blog. He writes a new book. I get him to do an interview for me on my website. And then I ask him a question, and he turns into another blog post. I mean, this was tremendous for my blog when other people start using my name in their influential circles. All right, so let's talk about personal branding. If people aren't talking about you, spreading the word about you, remarking about you, there's a reason. And the reason is you haven't established why they should. It's not clear in your mind, and you haven't documented that sufficiently for people to be able to take action on it. That's your fault, not theirs. You've got some work to do to identify what your value is and how you can help. Now, you talked about this earlier. I mean, you talked about value. I mean, this is the key of the whole thing, and I will tell you, this is the single hardest thing to do, is to identify your value. It will drive you nuts. What is it you do uniquely well, that help others address opportunities, solve problems that matter to them? You must get out of your own head and stop thinking about yourself and think about how you serve others. As soon as you define yourself in terms of how you serve other people, you will not want for work. You will not want for work. They will seek you out because you're doing something that most people do, most people don't do. The posture that most people take is, let me get in front of you to sell you. It's very rare that someone says, let me get in front of you to help you. And we respond differently to people that help than to people that sell, do we not? Define yourself and how you can help. This is hard. This is extremely hard. But this is the key. You must define your value. Personal brand. So, who are you? Who do you want to help? You've got to be clear. Who do you want to help? How do you want to help them? And this question must be answered clearly. You've got to know in your heart of hearts, why you, why now? And I'm not talking about an elevator pitch, but if someone asks you, you know, why you? Why should I do business with you? Then as soon as those words start to come out of your mouth, your emotions will show up before your words do. And they will sense whether you believe it or not. If you don't believe it, if they think it's just an elevator pitch, it's dead on arrival. But if they sense your compelling emotion about why I truly believe you need to hire me right now, that shows up before your words do. The words have to be processed. The emotions are starting to sink in before they show up. So you've got to believe this. Why you, why now? Because if it's not you and it's not now, guess what? It's somebody else. And wouldn't you rather it be you? You'd much rather it be you. But you got to know it. You got to believe it. Google, Google's the 800-pound gorilla. We used to have this argument back in 2009. Oh, you know, people are Googling you. Do you think that's a bad thing? You've got to be kidding me. I mean, as a management professor, talk about serving it up on a silver platter with strategy. When you know what your competitor is going to be doing, now the strategy is easy. You can anticipate that they're going to do it. And if you're not prepared when they do it, shame on you. So if you know that you're going to be Googled, you should be prepared to be Googled. If you're not prepared for someone to put your name in a search engine, what are you doing? In this day and age, what are you doing? You've got to be prepared. People are going to do this. And so how do you prepare? The best way to prepare is to start a WordPress.com blog, hopefully link to yourname.com, and start cranking out the content. Now you're ready. After a while, not only will you be found, but you will tell the story about you that you want to be found. It won't be random. You will be shaping the story. You'll be telling the story that you want to be told. Does that make sense? So, anticipate, prepare, buy your name. If you're a business owner, you've got your business name, go buy your name as well. That's real estate. That's real estate on the World Wide Web. And any investment you make into your name has residual value. I create content that works for me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is not a cost, it's an investment. It has residual value, every piece of content I create. So buy your name, make an investment in your name, in your brand reputation. So this is it. We want to associate our name facing with our value, create content that gets us indexed and ranked. All right, now I want to show you two pictures real quickly. This is inbound marketing in a nutshell. Your website is the hub of your activity. Your website is the hub. Everything else you do in social media is a spoke. And everything you do in social media is done for one purpose. For me, remember, I'm a business person. I don't play around. Everything, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on all these places for one reason. What's that reason? You tell me. To pull them to my website. I'm pulling them into my website. I go hunting on the spokes because this is where the sell is done. This is where my call to action is. This is where you sign up for my newsletter. This is where all that stuff takes place. The only reason I go to these sites is to pull you there. That's inbound marketing in a nutshell. But if you're, and many business owners have this, they've got this beautiful website they paid someone $10,000 for, and it's utterly, totally incapable of inbound marketing because it doesn't have an engine. It doesn't have an engine of relational capacity. It doesn't have a blog. It has one indexed web page, maybe a few. But as soon as you get a blog, now you've got an engine. You can start creating content that people will pull into, and you start creating more indexed pages associated with that. So the blog is the engine of inbound marketing. You're not blogging. If you're not blogging, you can't inbound market. It just can't. You can content market, but you can't inbound market. Second picture I hope you burn in your brain. This is social business, and we're already there. We are already there. We ain't a-going back. This is the current environment that you operate in. Everyone that touches your brand on a daily basis, whatever it is you do, everyone that touches your brand on a daily basis is hyper-connected. They are all have these nodes. They're on LinkedIn, Facebook, all these other places. And what are they doing? They're talking, right? They're talking. And they might be talking about you. You hope they're talking about you. Because if they're talking about you, they're doing for you what you can't do for yourself. Now, you need to know what they're saying about you. You need to care about what they're saying about you. And I would tell you, you need to shape what they're saying about you. And the single most important message from this picture that I want you to get, do not miss this message. Because it wasn't necessarily true 5 years ago. The key to this is operational excellence. You must be damn good at what you do. Because if you screw up, there is no place to hide. You must be really, really, really good at what you do. Because if you piss me off, guess what? I'm online. And before, if you pissed me off 7 years ago, I'd go complain to some people and it would have a half-life. It would be gone. Now you make me mad? I come into your business, I trust you, I spend my money with you, and you don't respect that? You don't treat that as a valuable transaction? You just earned what I'm going to say about you, and you can't complain about it. You don't like what I'm saying? Change what you're doing. So I'm going to go online, I'm going to tweet, I'm going to share it on these other sites, and it is archivable. It ain't going away, and it's searchable. And guess what else? It's shareable. Someone finds what I wrote about your business, they will now pick it up, that URL, and they'll take it over and share it in their group of friends. You getting this? There is no place to hide. There is no place to hide. You must be good at what you do. But if you're good at what you do, this is the most strategic good news that's ever come along. If you are an impressive operator, you're good at what you do, I mean, you are good at what you do and you take care of your people, this is cha-ching. Because then what it says is, now I hire digital citizens. I want to hire people that are present on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and they know how to operate with professional distinction. They're not just playing around. They're present, they're personal, but they understand how to be professional. If you don't respect your own personal brand, you're going to respect my brand? No way. So I'm hiring digital citizens, people that get the opportunity space that are out there. I'm bringing them into my business. I'm impressing their socks off. Time's up. Right, so let me power through this real quick and then answer your questions. Got to be personal and conversant on social media. Lead with your values. So many people lead with their personality. Lead with your value. Never, ever, as I'm a business guy, never be there any ambiguity about what you get paid for. This is what I get paid for. This is my engine of economic activity. Wrap your personality around it. Don't leave your engine in a box. Make sure it's clear what you get paid to do. All right, you need to have these things going on. I think I've showed you. Get your name out there. Your name at your, got to get a good email address, not foxybaby99@hotmail.com. That doesn't work. Okay. I knew you were going to say that. So Google Plus is up there. Google Plus is powerful. LinkedIn, yada, yada. You can see all that. I blog at several sites. So I blog for brands. I blog for TEDx University of Nevada. I blog for the online. When I blog there, I blog different than when I blog personal. Different voice. A different level of responsibility. I could tell you about Facebook Lives, but I won't. You've got to create social objects. Social objects are things that people talk about. And when you create a social object, the most powerful which is a blog post, someone can pick that object up and take it to their social circle and share it in their social circle, and conversation can develop around it. So WordPress.com blog is the best social object, I think. Video, YouTube, second best. Audio, pictures, presentations. These are very trusted when they're shared among their friends. And when you start to create these indexes, you open the funnel to your website. As soon as you start creating all these index pages, you're going to get more visits per month. And if you know about the sales funnel, the more that hits the top will funnel down to the bottom, right? So you got to pull people into the top. Focus on becoming a factory of relevant social objects. Pump them out. Relevant, as she said, not crap, but relevant social objects. You become a factory of relevant social objects, 1 month, a year later, you're in business. So most people want instant pudding. You know, we'll get started, people will show up. Oops, they didn't show up, let's quit. So many quitters out there. It's so easy to win, just don't quit, and you'll win. It takes at least 6 months, but we're going to see efforts, yada, yada, yada. All right, so I had some examples, but let me take your questions. Or if you want to see the examples. Yeah, sir.
Hold on. Something you said just a minute ago struck me as far as knowing that your product is solid, because now you're out there. And I work with some businesses, restaurants, and service industry. Even on what seems to be their best day, they can have a customer that's not happy. And that customer, without saying anything, goes and posts something on Yelp or another place. And you have no ability, with the exception of then going back on and saying, can we get you back in? So I just want to kind of get your thoughts, because I could say, I didn't like his speech. Right. I'm going to go rail on you right now.
That's fine. And my blogging becomes a firewall to that, by the way. So you want to try to rank on my name, good luck, because I'm ranked on my name. You better have a really popular website. Does that make sense? So blogging is not just offensive, it's also defensive. That relationship, see what I did for this guy today? You know, you were talking about being from out of town. I made this tweet today. Hey, you're out of here from out of town? Go to Campo Reno. I love this guy. I'll bend over backwards for him. He's the salt of the earth. Our relationship did not start that way. Someone told me I need to go visit Mark Estes' restaurant. So I looked on his website. His website says we're open at 11 o'clock. All right, you say you're open at 11 o'clock. I hopped in my car with my daughter. I was there at 11:05. He's standing right outside the door. I know because his picture's on his website. I walk in, they say, oh, we're not open till 11:30. Will that be okay? No, it's not okay. I was here at 11. I picked up my stuff, went to another restaurant, and had my food by 11:30, went home and wrote a blog post about Campo Reno. And guess what? His marketing agency didn't catch it because I didn't put Campo Reno in the title on purpose. I didn't want him to find it. But what happened was someone who I knew on Facebook, that he knew on Facebook, shared it with him. And what did he do? The smartest thing that he could do. He shows up on my website and he accepts responsibility. Hey, this is Mark. I remember this. I'm sorry. Let me make it up to you. Okay, you know, because now you're doing something most business owners don't do. You're reaching out to me personally. I went back. I bend over for this guy all the time because he earned it. He made a mistake. He makes mistakes every day. But he is consistent in this posture toward his customers. I can guarantee you, he is consistent in that posture toward his customers. I've had students tell the same story. Yeah.
Hi, first-time listener, fourth-time caller. My question to you is, you said on different blogs you have different writing styles, different tone of voice.
Right.
Could you elaborate on what you do differently for, let's say, a more advanced level versus like you're writing about CISPA or, whatever?
Okay.
And then, feel free to state your sources.
Right. So if I'm writing from BretLSimmons.com, I say what I want to say because, any of you that blog know that the most compelling voice is like I'm sitting across from you drinking coffee. So we're sitting down at the coffee, and it's just like you're talking to me right now. So I try to write like this. I know, that doesn't sound good, but I try to write just like that, so it's like we're having a conversation. That pulls you in. When I write for my brand, when I write for the executive MBA program, I can't make that assumption because it's more than me. It's not me. I'm one of those 13 people. So now I'm representing all of them. And when I blog for them, I do so in a much scaled back voice that's very straightforward, very professional. When I blog for TEDx University of Nevada, same thing. I scale back the voice to represent the brand. When I tweet from BretLSimmons.com, I tweet stuff like that. I would never tweet that from TEDx University of Nevada or the Executive MBA program because that doesn't belong under those brands. That belongs under my brand, not those brands. So I'm very aware of the voices I use as I move back and forth. Thanks.
Hi, Bret. I'm taking a class with Marketing 380 class with Judy Strauss, and she was saying that she only picks a few social media sites to start with because you have such an investment in time going back and forth and making sure that you're responding to all your readers. How many blog posts or how many different social media sites do you use, and how long did it take you to get up to that point where you're invested in all of those?
All right, so when I first started, I didn't know what to do. So I was out on all these different platforms, and I learned real quickly there's only a few that matter. There's nothing that matters more than your blog. You don't write a blog post, all social media doesn't matter. If you're not writing blog posts, then on social media, the only thing you can be doing is playing around. So you write those blog posts, number one most important thing to do. And now what are the most effective spokes? Well, that differs by business, okay? My dean is only on LinkedIn. He's not on Twitter or on Facebook. So I'm on LinkedIn because there's an important professional community there. Twitter, I think there's so many users out there. Twitter is a power platform, and you will find your community on Twitter. It's going to take a while, but you need to be on Twitter. Facebook is the site I love to hate because Facebook, you're more likely to lose business than to gain it because you're going to think that, oh, you're going to have bought the Facebook lie. The Facebook lie is, oh, I can be personal over here, and then I have my business over here. That's a lie. You have no privacy. Any privacy you think you have is truly virtual. And you will not be successful in business until you give up this thought that you have privacy. And I'm going off on a tangent here. But privacy, to me, is operational, not technological. The best operational privacy you have is to never post anything, anytime, anywhere that you wouldn't want anyone to see because they're going to see it. So if you want privacy, make it an operational issue, not a technological issue. Does that make sense? I never teach privacy buttons. I have my students get on Facebook. I don't teach privacy. I teach operations. Don't be stupid. You're going to be Googled. Is this what you want your employer to see? Because they're going to Google you. And the other thing that I want to tell you is if you're a business owner, I've had so many people say, well, you need to connect with so-and-so on Facebook. I go knock on your Facebook door, and the response I get is, oh, this is personal over here. But you're willing to come over to my business and pay me money, even though I'm not going to be your friend. Are you kidding me? You're good enough to take my money, but I'm not good enough to call you a friend? What are you thinking? I mean, really, what are you thinking?
Do you have a business or a personal Facebook page? Just one?
I operate both as if they're wide open, because again, I don't buy that. I think it's a fallacy to think that you have privacy. We're going to the end of privacy. You're buying, I believe, a lie that you can hide behind some kind of virtual wall and never be found, and you're setting up an opportunity to piss people off. You're setting up an opportunity to offend people, where someone comes to your site and they reach out to you, and what they get from you is a cold wall. If we're networking somewhere, you go to a networking event, the signal you're sending by showing up at that event is, I understand what this event's about, and I'm here to do it. Now, I reach out my hand to you. You turn your back on me, how am I going to feel? You will hit me in the gut. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget you. And not only will I not do business with you, but I'm going to start talking about you too, because you earned it. You weren't thinking.
30 seconds.
I know that's not possible. That's not popular, but.
So do you blog on TEDx and your other blog as yourself or as that company?
I use my name. So any blog post you write, I believe in authentic authorship. So here's who wrote it, but the voice I use changes. So they all say Bret Simmons, Bret Simmons, Bret Simmons. At bretlsimmons.com, it's this voice. At TEDx and at EMBA, it's my name, tone, a different voice. It's a constrained voice, if you will. Always use your name. I don't like reading blog posts by people that say admin. That's an intern, you know. Tell me your name. Tell me your name.
It's good.
Okay, we're done.
Thank
Thanks.
you very much. Dr. Bret Simmons.